Today I'm remaking the graphics from Mercy, a new Chris Pratt movie, and I only have 1 hour. The movie reportedly had a $60 million budget, and these titles look insanely polished, cinematic lighting, perfect pacing, high-end design. But here's the question, are these graphics actually worth millions, or can someone at home rebuild them in under 60 minutes? The time starts now. I also put a camera on the side so that you can see things in real time. First of all, I'm going to open After Effects, create new composition, 1920 by 1080, 30 frames a second, and press OK. The two shots we're going to recreate are some of the UI shots, as you can see on the screen, as well as this 3D pop-up on the screen of like the search results appearing. First of all, I'm going to go into Figma and I want to find some UI design. There are a couple of ways we can do this. We can either just take a screenshot or rebuild things from scratch in After Effects, or we can take a pre-made template in something like Figma and don't waste any time creating it from scratch. So I'm going to go and search for email. Let's take a look at Gmail UI. Okay, this is not English, so I'm going to skip this one. Send email. Okay, this actually looks pretty good, so I'm going to go ahead and open it in Figma, and yes, this will work perfectly fine for us. So now I'm going to open Adobe Illustrator, because the way it works is we take something from Figma, we put it into Illustrator, and then we'll be able to take the Illustrator file into After Effects. So I'm going to create a new file, open Figma, click on this one, make sure I can move it around, right click, copy as SVJ, and now when I come to Illustrator, I'm just going to Command V to paste it. Now I'm going to go into Object, Artboards, and Fit Artwork. There are a couple of ways we can go about this, because right now, whenever I want to grab something, I just grab the whole thing. But if I actually click here, and click here, and click here, select all of this stuff, take it to layer 1, click on layer 1, click on Release to Layer Sequence, select all the layers, take them out, and now I'd be able to move every single thing separately. Now I'm going to press on Command S to save all of this, and let's call it UI panel Mercy. Now when I come to After Effects, I have to select the UI panel and drag and drop it, the composition and layer size selected. If I open it, we'll see that the quality is pretty bad, but because this is an Illustrator file, we can do a thing called rasterizing. First of all, I'm going to create a null by pressing Shift Option Command Y, then select all the layers and parent them to the null. And now if I copy this and paste it into our comp, we'll see that it's pretty small, but now I'm able to control all the layers with the null. If I select all the layers, toggle the switches, and then enable this button, which is rasterize, if we increase it in size, the quality is going to stay super sharp, which is exactly what we need. Now we need to create a text highlight. For that I'm going to use something like a shape tool. All I have to do is draw a shape on the screen. Required from my end, I'm going to highlight this. I'm going to draw a shape on top. Let's make it a blue color like it is in the movie, maybe a bit darker, something like so. And I'm going to parent it to the null. So now whenever I scale it up and down, it's going to stay in the same position. Now I have to find this text, which is going to be, okay, it's this one. So I'm going to put it to the top. Let's call it text. Duplicate this layer and put this layer above our shape layer. I'm also going to apply an effect called fill to make sure we get a white color. And I'm going to track matte this text to the shape layer and enable the shape layer itself. Perfect, so there we have the highlight. Now all we have to do is to animate the shape appearing on screen, so like the highlighting happening like they have in the video. There are a number of ways we can do this. For that I'm going to use a linear wipe effect on the shape layer, and I'm going to animate the transition completion. So you can see what's happening is that it's working from left to right, but I need to be the opposite, so I'm going to change this one to -90, and if I do it, yes, it works perfectly. I need to create a keyframe here, move a little bit to the front, and then make sure it is visible. I'm going to press U on our layer, select it, and using the flow I'm just going to make it a little bit smoother. It's the same as pressing F9, and let's see what we have. Perfect. 8.5 minutes to go, we still have time. Now if we take a look at the camera movement in the movie, it's very interesting. Like, it's not handheld, but it's also not just a straight keyframe, because if you animate keyframe to keyframe, you have some movement and then it just stops. But then it looks like the keyframes overlap. I'm going to try and replicate that. So for that, we are going to use a null rig. I'll create keyframes for the position and scale for this null. I have to zoom out a little bit. Now we have a bit of a problem. Whenever I zoom out, because we have a linear wipe, it actually doesn't work really well here. So we have to do a few clever moves. We're not going to use the linear wipe here, so I'm just going to delete this effect. And what I'm going to do is to animate the shape layer itself. The reason it doesn't work is because linear wipe is based on the percentage of the whole composition. And so when it takes like this size in the composition, but we increase the layer up and down, it stays the same. But we increase the layer up and down, so it changes relative to the layer and the composition. So it doesn't really work like that. So I have to animate the shape itself. I'm going to animate the size and the position, and I'm going to disable the proportional sizing so that it doesn't scale like so, but I'm able to stretch it to the right and to the left. So this is going to be the final position, but the first position is going to be slightly different. So we need to decrease the size to 0 and then move it to the left right here, like so. So let's take a look. Perfect. And now we'll be able to increase it in size, and it's not going to matter at all. So right in the very beginning, I want to zoom out so that it's small on the screen and move the keyframes to the very beginning. And then we are going to zoom in, but then we're going to zoom in on the text. I'm going to duplicate this null, pressing U to reveal the keyframes. Delete these keyframes and parent our null1 to the duplicated null. In this case, it's going to be null2. Move a little bit further, zoom in even further, and show it like full screen. Let's do it like so. I'm going to select the keyframes, make them a little bit smoother, and I'm going to overlap keyframes so that the movement is super smooth. I'm going to take the keyframes of the shape layer, move them a little bit further, and let's take a look at what we have so far. Let's overlap it a little bit more. Duplicate it again, delete, parent, overlap, and let's just zoom in even further. So let's see what we have. Perfect. So we're 16 minutes through and we've replicated one of the UI panels. Now we have to replicate the text pop-up, which is actually a little bit harder because it is 3D. So this is the text we have to recreate, this interesting pop-up on the screen. I'm going to create new composition by clicking here, the same settings, and I'm going to put a video of AI generated Rebecca. I'm going to click on N here to create an output for the composition, and I'm going to press Shift Command X to make the composition the size of this selection. Now I'll use the shape tool with rounded rectangles, and I'm going to create a rounded rectangle on the screen like so, and increase the roundness to maximum to make it like a circle. I'm going to put it right in the middle and center the anchor point by pressing Command and double clicking this button over here. Let's create an adjustment layer and apply a Gaussian blur effect, increase it in size, and now we're going to track matte our Gaussian blur to the shape. Now we need to put the text on the screen, scanning missing stock emails. Okay, Command T, scanning missing stock emails. Now we can make it a little bit smaller, make sure it is right in the middle of the screen. Now we need to do the text animation, and I'm going to use Text Evo for that. So I'm going to click on plus, it's going to create the keyframes, and we need to work with the scale because the text over here, it increases almost like letter by letter. So S, K, and then we have A. Everything is just increasing a bit by bit. So we'll do exactly the same. Transform, scale, going to put scale to 0. Let's see what we have. Now we need to increase the delay. Let's try 2. Okay, I'm going to put these keyframes to the very beginning, and let's make them a little bit shorter, a little bit faster, even faster. Let's try delay to 1. I'm going to press Shift P to enable the position keyframes, and we're going to end here. This is going to be the final position, so I'm going to move this keyframe to the right, and in the very beginning I wanted to start right from the very middle, like so. And let's just combine this movement with the keyframes that we had. Time is ticking, 38 minutes left. Maybe it takes a little bit more time for us to do it, but we can always speed up the animation, that's it. Okay, great. Now let's animate the shape layer in the background. So I'm going to, once again, keyframe the size and the position. Move it a little bit further until this is the end. And let's increase the scale of it, like so. So let's see what we have so far. Now we need to change the color so that it's more with the film. Let's go for something like this. Looks pretty good. Now we need to add a little bit of glow and decrease the intensity, play around with the settings. I'm also going to apply fast box blur because I want to blur it up a little bit, just the smallest bit. And I'm going to duplicate this text and delete the fast box blur so that we have a bit of haze around the text like they have it here in the movie. Now I'm actually going to go ahead and select it, Shift Command C to pre-compose it, right click, time, enable time remapping, and I'm just going to speed it up a little bit so that it happens a little bit faster. Let's see what they have, what we don't have. I think they have a bit of a motion blur. So let's go ahead and enable it by clicking on this button here. So let's see. Yes, we have a bit of a motion blur now. And I'm just going to go and take the shape layer and the adjustment layer out of here, put them right over here in this composition, and press on U and speed it up. The motion blur looks a little bit too much, so I'm going to disable it and I'm going to force it by searching for an effect, force motion blur. Increase the shutter angle a little bit, so let's see what we have. They also have a bit of a camera movement. I'm going to create the camera by pressing Shift Option Command C, and I'll do 50mm camera. I'm going to open two viewers by clicking here. Now I just have to animate the camera, so I have to put things in 3D, select all of this stuff, and I'm going to go into Depth plugin and click on Disperse. Didn't work, I had to connect the adjustment layer, so I'll parent the adjustment layer first, select all of this, and now click on Disperse. So now the background, our video is going to stay in the background and everything else is going to stay in the foreground. Perfect. Now I'm going to create a null to control the camera. I'm going to parent the camera to the null, press on P, and I'm going to turn null 3D as well. So I'm going to put the position of the null, move it right to the middle, right to the beginning. We now have a new problem where the adjustment layer, because it was 3D, kind of disappeared, but now everything seems to be good. If I just disable the adjustment layer from being 3D, I'm going to change the position of the camera slightly, move it a little bit to the left. I'm going to duplicate this null, press on U, delete the keyframes, and we'll start from here. We'll parent the first null to the second null, zoom even further, and actually let's zoom out a little bit so that we can see most of the text like so. Select it, make it super smooth, let's see what we have. We definitely need to make it a little bit slower in terms of the text animation. And the last thing we have to do is to blur out the main subject from the background. So for this I'm going to use the camera and I will animate the focus distance, so it will go from here right in the very beginning to no focus at this point, so that the focus distance is going to change to here, and we'll also increase the blur level to so. So let's see what we have. The adjustment layer, it seems like we need to increase the blur to like something like so. So there we have it. We have 20 minutes left, so I was able to recreate it in 40 minutes. Let me know which one you prefer, and if you enjoyed this video, there's a good chance that you will like this video here, so go ahead and click on it.